Next up, we have another panel of 4 individuals. I'm excited to welcome to stage. Without any further ado, let's bring them up.
We're the Hexicans, coming for your neck again. This cryptocurrency space ain't ready for us yet again. We're the Hexicans. Yeah, I'm a Hexican. Now, we're the Hexicans, coming for your neck again. This cryptocurrency space ain't ready for us yet again. We're the Hexicans. Yeah, I'm a Hexican.
Woo!
Yo, 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 yo. What's going on? What up, Wescott? What up, HEXMonkey? What up, Charlie? What up, Maddie? Let's go.
Why so depressed, Wescott?
We're getting towards the end of the conference here, and we've seen 100 people come and speak about HEX. I'm really excited to have you 4 on screen here because you all have a different angle and amazing personalities. You're known for being brilliant and steadfast, and I'm really excited for you guys to introduce yourselves and then take the conversation wherever you see fit regarding HEX.
Lovely.
Amazing.
Lovely.
Thanks.
Appreciate you, Maddie. It's your boy, Big Wescott Crypto. I got in here early 2022. You know, I was going through YouTube videos trying to find crypto, trying to get rich, and stumbled across somebody telling me about some scam coin or whatever. So I'm like, cool, let me put some money into that. Then I find out this is terrible. And I catch the guy saying, well, who cares? I already got rich off of HEX. So I'm like, so what's this HEX stuff? Why didn't you tell me about that? Why are you telling me about the scam coin? So I jump into HEX and I, find Richard Hart, see that there's a Pulse X sacrifice going on. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Let me jump in this. Let me be an OG. Let me finally be first to something. And I went crazy. I went in on that Pulse X. You see it. You see it. Big time.
Hey, I got one of those.
What about you, man?
Shout out to Brian Magruder369 for all the hot merch.
Oh,
I got a bunch of it up here too. I got my hex.com poster representing.
Shout out to Magruder, man. Facts.
Well, that's kind of the great thing about the story there, Wescott, is just like literally right now, everybody who's seeing Pulse Chain maybe for the first time or whatever, everybody has that same chance still, right, to be early, which is fantastic. So
we're early. Yo,
yeah, I was actually talking I was on a consult call today, and the question was, I've got some stable coins in the ink farms, and should I deploy them or not? And I was like, well, at the time we were about 70 or 80% off the floor price on Pulse Chain. And I'm like, it's a good thing you asked this question now before things really started moving. And then, fast forward 7 hours and Richard announces that he's taking the fight to the SEC and he's backed by 800 plus lawyers. And it's like green candles start popping off. It's like that. I hope that guy deployed because things are moving, right? So, I mean, it's such an exciting time and it's still so early. Like, remember, HEX did 13 doubles in the last bull cycle, and we're not even done with the first double yet. So
these last 2 years was a blessing. I mean, if you didn't take advantage, I don't know what to tell you. We're still early. This is a pivotal moment. This is probably the most important HEX conference because the guys who hit big before, shout out to y'all, but I didn't hit big yet. This is my chance to hit big, and I know what's coming. I can feel it in the air. Everybody can feel it. RH is going crazy.
Wescott, yes. I was going to say, I commend you on your steadfast passion and your commitment to the core assets, because it's such an important message because there's so much noise out there. And, I get asked a lot of questions about diversification, especially when shiny new objects are popping up and people are, kind of questioning the future of these things. And, what do I always go back to? It's HEX and HEX mining and Pulse Chain. That's kind of where my focus has been for all these folks. And, I'll cover other things, but they're just not interesting to me. Like
yeah, bro.
I mean, there's not that much liquidity in most of them, right? And then there's also not that much quality yet. Like most of the projects in the ecosystem, are just memes that people want to just have a good time with. And see where if they can make a few extra bucks, but it's nothing like, where you're going to make like a lot of life-changing money on it yet. So I think, once you get money in an ecosystem, then you start getting these projects from elsewhere. Right now, they're all paying attention to Pulse Chain. They're looking from afar being like, okay, once it gets to a certain level of, you know, total value locked or amount of money in the ecosystem, market cap, all that stuff, we'll jump in then, you know, and we'll take advantage of that. So you probably got a lot of different things going on with the ecosystem, but like you were saying before, and I think we kind of mentioned this a little bit in the green room before, which was just the amount of X's that it's going to take to get, because right now the Hex community, right, they should be focused on those, right? All the Richard Hart coins, Pulse X, EHEX,
Thank you.
Thank you. Right? Like, it's simple. Like, if you sacrificed, have the courage of your conviction, hold it all the way to zero if you have to, because that's why we're here. Like, for me personally, I put most, if not all of my gains from Hex in the last bull market towards Pulse Chain, because why not parlay, right? Like, that's basically what we're here for. And so, you know, for anybody who's new, like the FUD from pretty much when liquid loans came out till now, I think it's the most FUD I have seen in the Hex ecosystem. And since I FUD'd it back when I first started my YouTube channel, you know, I was famous for, you know, saying Hex was a scam at the very beginning.
You won't do it again. You won't do it again.
Oh, hell no, bro. Hell no. But like at the same time, I'm like, Hex was one of my best performing positions in the last bull market as well. And so, like, you know, you have to be ready to pivot when the market pivots. And right now, I think the market's pivoting towards accumulating Pulse Chain. And the amount of, we were saying just before, the amount of X's that we have to do to get the whole community bullish again, 2-3x in price. And then all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, yeah, Richard's going to win the SEC case. It's all good. What were you freaking out about like last
It's already starting.
It's already starting. I love it.
Hey, you guys, I got to say it as, I guess, a little bit of an introduction is all three of you guys, AXiS, Charlie, and Wescott, like you're my friends. I met you in real life. We hung out.
Facts.
You behaved well most of the time. Other times, who knows? But I'm also a fanboy of all three of you guys. So I got to shout all three of you out. And
thanks.
Appreciate it.
I'm really
looking for that Atlas Shrugged coin you gave me, but it's not here. It's in my vault. I put that thing away so it doesn't get yanked. Man.
But I'm excited to be with you three guys in particular because it dovetails into my view of the community and all this. This will be my only kumbaya segment, and we can nerd out all you guys want.
Kumbaya.
Well, I'm here for it. Like
you notice, so look at these three cats here, and I'm somewhere in the middle. Like Wescott, hardcore RH purist, maximalist, whatever you want to call him.
Maxi.
Facts. Charlie teaches an amazing course with DCC, and by the way, I've been in several of them. It's awesome. Like, I can vouch for it. Thanks. And what do they teach there? I mean, these guys cover like at least 100 coins, if not more. But one of their core foundations is Hex and Pulse.
Yeah. Well, and recently I've been putting up, you know, the whole Pulse ecosystem to like map out, okay, what else after we start getting Pulse pumping can move and stuff like that. And we just need, you know, more quality in the ecosystem, but it's looking exciting. So
that's right. So that's Charlie. And then AXiS has a community where he talks about other stuff all the time. Is AXiS a hexagon? Yes. Is Charlie a hexagon? Yes. Is Wescott a hexagon? Yes. Thanks. So you see, we can all coexist. We can all be buddies. We don't need to argue. We get testy at times. But Wescott, I've heard you say on your stream, like, I'm paraphrasing you, but hey, man, this is what I'm doing. You know, I'm sticking with the core assets, and your reasoning was very sound. It was you don't have the attention span, or you don't want the stress of paying attention to 47
I'm lazy, man. I'm lazy. I keep it simple. Yeah. Like, yo,
and
who's smarter than? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, and most of the time, you said it in that manner, which is, hey, you guys do whatever you want. Maybe you heckled people. You know, we all step over the line a little bit, but
yeah.
But you presented your approach, and it's very sound and very sensible, and makes sense for a lot of people. What AXiS does makes a lot of sense for his mindset and what he's up to. But I know he's still hardcore Hex and Pulse. Like,
yeah, if I told you my portfolio allocation, you'd be like, why don't you just?
You'd be like, that's not diversified.
No, you wouldn't. And here's why, is because it piggybacks off what Charlie was saying earlier, which is and Sami also says this, which is you have to go hard. Warren Buffett says this, you have to go hard on the things that you know are winners at the bottom. Everyone's got it backwards. They're diversifying at the bottom instead of consolidating at the bottom. play with the gains later. Give it a year, give it 18 months, and then go fart around when you got 20, 30x in the backpack. Like, everyone's diverse at the bottom. You're going to be fighting each other for pennies, trying to put it back into Pulse and HEX while it's just going straight up. It's just you're playing it the game in reverse. And so I look at that kind of behavior, and I try to always remind people you need to think about having a core position, and really the ultimate hedge in cryptocurrency, if and when HEX is successful, is to have some form of a ladder that's paying you and hedging against any mistakes you make and other things down the road. And you start out far and then you work your way back. And, you know, if you've accumulated enough units over this last 2 years, that should put you in a very powerful position. And that lends itself well to what I was speaking on in the beginning of the segment tonight about this lock and roll strategy for HEX, where, you know, if you ended up and you're sitting on like, you know, $50,000 of HEX or $100,000 of HEX right now, you're looking at like a 10 million on the 10 million to, you know, sometimes 20 million HEX bag. And you could be doing a rolling, you know, like 60-day stake and earning 100,000 HEX every like 60 days. And then you could be putting those out as bets into the future, or rolling those yields into other degen plays, or diversifying that way, where it's all house money. The last place you should be going with your principal and yield right now of HEX is to your checking account. The place you should be going is taking care of your future self, and then leveraging that bag for the bull market so that you can play around with it. And as it increases in dollar value, you have more optionality. Because once the floor prices are put in here, I don't know if anyone remembers what happened to Bitcoin, but it never came back to see the lowest prices ever again.
At all.
So you're securing your bag now. Like, if you're not doing that, or you haven't been listening to me talk about a coin that's amazing while it's going down for 2 years, well, now is the inflection point. And I just want to remind everyone of that. And as we talk further into the stream, let's get on the topic sometime tonight about this takeover of DeFi and how we could maybe see a decoupling at some point. I'd love to talk on that.
Yeah, I like that idea too. And one question I wanted to ask you guys just to start out, because I think this is kind of good for people who might be newer to Pulse Chain as well. There's two things, right? One thing is, what would I tell somebody who bought Pulse Chain and Pulse X, who sacrificed for them, and just watch them go down ever since? Like, it makes no sense if they're down 90% not to buy more, right? I mean, you can double up your coins for, you know, a tenth of the cost practically, right? So, I mean, it just makes sense on a risk to reward basis. Like, if you've gone this far, you might as well. So that's one thing. I agree with AXiS that this is the inflection point. The bottom is basically in. If I were to give a percentage on it, like 95%, you know, all that stuff. But the question I wanted to ask you guys was, what's your base case on Pulse Chain? Whether it's, you know, it can be on anything, it can be on the tech, can be on the gains, whatever. But what's your base case? What got you into Pulse Chain outside of just what's happening with HEX? And why have you held this long and not, you know, sold? And if you have bought more, you know, why you buy more? Because I think that's like kind of the problem in the ecosystem right now. A lot of people are like, well, I was told there were gains here and I haven't seen them yet. So what do I do? You know, like, a lot of people don't have a base case.
Yeah. Who wants to go first?
Man, I'll just say real quick, bro, I'm sold on Richard Hart. You know, I don't do the chart stuff. I don't pay attention. It's Richard Hart. I watch the interviews. I listen to how he talks. I feel like, you know, I say this all the time. I feel like I discovered somebody that's like the next big thing, not just in crypto, but in this world going forward. The guy's super smart, you know, whatever, you know, people want to say he's a god. I'm not saying he's a god, whatever, you know, who cares? But the guy is different. He's a different human being. And not only is he smart, he has such like this he's like such a good human, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you'll watch him in interviews and he'll talk about, you know, guys working in a watch shop and nobody cares about them, and like, he's like, damn, I'm buying this expensive watch, but I'm doing that knowing I'm making somebody slave over putting that together. And then the guy interviewing him was like, well, who cares about that guy? And he's like, I care. You know what I mean? And a lot of these people, you know, we see it with P. Diddy. A lot of these people with power and a lot of money at the top, they're scumbags. They're bad people. You know what I'm saying? And to see someone with a ton of money and a huge brain be such a good person, I'm sold, bro. I ain't going nowhere. Where else are you gonna go? Bitcoin? Like I'm not gonna get rich off of Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't got that type of money to play with. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's situation is different. If you have the money to play with, by all means, diversify, do your thing. I don't have that money to play with. I'm dealing with like, under 100K. You know what I mean? Some people are working with 500,000, a million. Sure, go buy the next coin. Go put a couple thousand. I can't do that. I gotta stay focused.
Bingo.
So
there's proof that everybody's in a different situation and has different financial needs and psychological makeup and expectations. Who knows, Wescott, in the next cycle, you're going to be Mr. Degen himself. That's what I predict.
Yeah.
Give it 3 years.
I can't. You know what? I used to say that, man, but like when I seen the people that just super support me and love the fact that I stick with what I said from the beginning, I don't know if I'm going to do it, man. Even if I got the money to play with, I still think I'm going to stay true to my people.
One thing I can say, Wescott, is that like whether you could see it or not yet, well, I think you can. You'll understand. Money changes people, and it's something that you don't realize until it's an amplifier, right? So if you're a good dude and you're maximalist and you just want to take care of the fam, and like that's not going to change, right? But if you have hidden, not you specifically, but if people have hidden quality about them, it usually comes out once, because like look, I saw Hexicans go like nuts last cycle, and then just one way, and then nuts the other way. So I've seen
came out, right? Like there's all these people who are like, I've been holding for 2 years, so I'm gonna sell, and it's like all these people who said they were diehard, who are here till the end.
The die easy Hexicans. Oh my God. So I love this bear market for that reason, man. It just exposed everything, and I really loved it, man. But I don't want to get too, I don't want to be the toxic guy. You know what I mean? But,
Monkey, why Pulse Chain?
Yeah. Why Pulse Chain? Richard Hart, for one thing, he already had credibility to me because of the way Hex launched and flawlessly operated for so long. So I was going to follow him almost anywhere that he went. And it was a nice way to take Hex that had gone up in value and leverage that value in a convenient way. It was a nice way to invest when something's high with something that's low, even though it was a sacrifice. I thought of it as an investment also. Mm-hmm. Plus, I believed in just the functionality of it. Like, it's just so damn cheap, and will be for a long time. Like I actually, Charlie was asking what other than Hex made us interested in Pulse Chain. Well, originally it was just Hex for me because I didn't know what I didn't know yet. So at the time, it was just a way to end stakes in the future. I just was heavy into that narrative because, man, those fees added up on Ethereum. It's crazy. Hundreds of dollars to end a stake. Unsustainable. And Richard Hart himself said that, who knows what he thinks now, but at the time he created Pulse Chain for Hex, for that purpose. And now we can see has many other benefits and a large number of projects already launched on it and many more coming. So the utility is just expanding. But that's at the time what brought me in.
You just made me realize like how big Hex really is. So if Hex is here to fix the inflation problem and create like this stable inflation rate, and it's going to be like basically back DeFi, right? If it's that big, if it's the Bitcoin of DeFi, think about what when Richard makes a statement like, I made Pulse Chain to support Hex, but Hex is going to support the world.
For sure.
Because like we can't predict what the Fed wants to do with rates and this and that, but we can count on 3.69% forever, and more of that supply getting locked up farther out, which creates scarcity. We can count on that. So it's like amazing to think about the depth of what it means. But, for me, more simply put, I was against Pulse Chain. I didn't agree with it. I thought it to go up against the Titan of Ethereum was insane and crazy in so many ways. And I just didn't see how it was ever going to be able to compete. So I didn't sacrifice that much for Pulse Chain. I was like buying Hex for the whole way up and the whole way down, right?
Right.
And then Pulse Chain launched. and I saw the transactions. I saw the building on it. I saw the community rally around it. I saw Pedi and Atropa go crazy. I didn't partake, but I saw it. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, and the gas fees are so cheap, and everybody that had Ethereum stuff got grandfathered into the network. It's like anyone who staked HEX and had HEX at the fork, it doubled. Now I'm tracking a combined HEX price because it's like there's no like this HEX or that HEX. Now you just get to benefit on both of them. Like if here's something cool. If ETH HEX goes up in price, there's EHEX bridged into Pulse Chain. It's lending value virtually to that network to pump all those asset prices. So if you hate EHEX, but you have some on Pulse Chain, and then EHEX goes and does a 3x, it could say there's $10 million on Pulse Chain today, but there's 30 million tomorrow. That's virtually lending $30 million of buy power to the EHEX holders on Pulse Chain to pump the Pulse, PulseX, and Ink bags and everything else with it because of the bonded liquidity. So it's a redundant system. It exists on two parallel networks. It's a first of its kind stable inflation model. It monetizes time itself. What else do we have other than time? It's the most valuable asset we have, besides maybe our intuition. And so many people are tied into their intuition, into this Richard Hart, this man, this founder that literally printed the move from a few dollars on Bitcoin to $30. He printed that. If you look at the Bitcoin chart, Richard started the hockey stick, guys. He invented the hockey stick of Bitcoin. And then if you look at it from $50 to $200, he created that hockey stick too. And if you look at it from a couple $100 to $1,000, he created that hockey stick too. And then things started to change, right? Because he was the marketing man. He figured out if you can make this thing pump like crazy, you can make the world notice.
Yep.
And now he's giving you a second chance with Pulse Chain and HEX on two chains. So if you're not going to be a part of that movement and you're not going to walk away from centralized, look, I quoted this new thing. Somebody wanted to make fun of me on Twitter. And I said, backed by billionaires. Well, guess what? We're backed by billionaires, guys. That's where we're at. That's the reality of the situation.
I love it.
It's a lot of money. A lot of money coming this way, man. And I'm early, guys. I'm early. What? Me? I'm early for once. That's crazy.
You know what I was surprised didn't become a narrative last week was I think it was pretty sure it was Pulse, if not Pulse Exit. No, I was pretty sure it was Pulse. Pulse was like 4 zeros and then 555, right? I was like, I think it ended up being like the bottom on that last move last week. So I'm just like, of course, right? Like,
yeah, man. Yep.
No, like one of the things I wanted to say just on that point as well, just in terms of like outside of HEX, like what's good and everything. And like with Pulse Chain right now, it's like you were saying before AXiS, like going against Ethereum seems crazy until you find out, well, Ethereum, is going to be highly backed by Goldman Sachs during this bull run. So we're kind of getting into the heavy part of they will fight you phase in crypto where, they're going to try to eliminate certain parts of crypto or going to try to manipulate or control certain parts of crypto. And so the fact that we have somebody who has proven themselves to be able to pump the price and market the coin, but then also is working on the positive side of crypto, against the powers that be, right? We never got anywhere in society without going against the powers that be. And whenever you're able to do that, you actually gain more freedom, or you gain the ability at least to voice, your opinion and everything. If you start letting that go because, just of an ETF and you don't want to hold your own keys and blah, 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 then, what's the point of this whole thing? So in a way, we are in it for the tech, but then also the pumpamentals. And like when those two combine,
let's talk about that. Like the green candles,
that's where we wanted to go. Yeah.
Yeah. The green candles are they force the hand, right? So like it forces people to have to adapt and change their worldview. They don't come before that. They come after that. So if, whether it's learning how to use a MetaMask or this or that, people are quick learners when time is against them. Right. And so this is something we were talking about in the green room. Monkey and Charlie and I were talking about here just a few minutes ago. It was like, look at the setup, right? Look at all of the sell pressure that's going to come from the FTX collapse All right, first let's frame it up. All right, so you got Bitcoin and you got Ethereum, and you got all of the bonded liquidity on all of the centralized exchanges, and all of their APIs and exchanges are like talking to each other. So if one goes down, another one goes down, and you're looking at the potential here for billions and billions of dollars of Ethereum and Bitcoin to be dumped onto the market, but in the same breath, Pulse Chain and Hex in particular, this network does not have that sell pressure really in it at all. So it literally sets up for a situation.
The last 6 months.
Well, yeah. I mean, think about this too. Gosh, Pulse Chain is literally in like its bear market because it was bull market money transported to 2023. Had a bear. Now it had a little mini bear market.
Mm-hmm.
So it's phasing out, right? But again, if in the event that there is a sell the news or a downside move in the broader centralized cryptocurrency market, could we not see a potential for this DeFi decoupling, where where maybe like RH coming to the fight to fight the SEC and a dismissal plus this billionaire energy just starts printing green candles, and it's like one after the other. All the other networks are like going down in price, and economic energy just starts to flow across the bridge into true DeFi, which is like the last bastion that's not going to be affected by all those negative historical events.
Bingo. When RH wins this, he wins on behalf of all of DeFi, not just Hexicans. Mainly
100%.
Everybody.
That's the most important point that Monkey just made.
When you get Peter McCormick buying Pulse Chain, you know we've won.
Yo, wait till that happens.
Anybody who's gonna hate down to the last minute, But that's the one thing is like I've seen some discussions on this from people outside of the Pulse community in terms of like they see what Richard Hart said in the New Year's video that he had or at the end of last year, and they see what he's saying and they agree with it, but they're like, oh, he's just saying this to get his ass out of trouble, or he's saying this to because it fits his narrative now. So they want to agree with him, but there's just some people out there that they're gonna have to, we're gonna have to wait until Tone Vase capitulates and buys, Pulse Chain, and then that it's true DeFi, and we've definitely won at that point.
Hey man, our turn is coming, bro. We've seen way too many other people pump, and we didn't, and our turn is coming, and when it comes, it's gonna be a different ball game. You already know. It's happening now.
When would you guys say? Because I like giving some thoughts and stuff. We don't have to be right all the time. But if you guys were to give the timing of when you think we're gonna start going past, maybe sacrifice prices, what would your guys' guess be? I guess I'll go if I'll put one out there.
Go first, man. Go first.
just because whatever. But for some reason, just like watching Hex move through, its time and everything, between February to April has generally been pretty good. So I think like you said before, AXiS, like we're kind of at the early stage of like coming off the lows, getting accumulation. I think that continues into that period of time. But then we have the Bitcoin halving. I think if we do see any kind of inverse move of, maybe people are filing out of Bitcoin, maybe getting into some Ethereum, diversifying to some altcoins before we really head off. I think in June of next year is when we start going crazy. So I think that we accumulate, and then it's just a matter of when that accumulation kind of comes over the bucket, and like we just go nuts because there's nothing holding price back on the charts, right? We just have nothing but up to go. There's not much resistance. So I don't know when that will happen, but if I had to put a number on it, maybe around May. But like it'd be a year around the 1 year anniversary of Pulse Chain. That might not be a bad time to do it, but there's just some food for thought. But I'm kind of curious like how you guys are viewing it. Like are you seeing we blast off from here like tomorrow, or
man, I seen what was that guy, Supo Man? I don't even watch this guy, but he said something about like this thing could 100x in a week. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Like, and so I don't know when, but pay attention, because you might blink and next thing you know we're back at SAC. You know what I'm saying? So
I think we're gonna overshoot SAC. Actually, I used to think because Yeah, no,
More
we
than
won't
average?
overshoot it. We won't overshoot it by a lot, but we'll overshoot it maybe by like 2 or 3, like 0.00012, something like that. It would be just a few 2 points over or whatever. But yeah, no, it because like you can't because FOMO's a bitch.
Yes, yes, it is.
It is.
Look
Well,
what happened today. Like we almost 2x'd in the last 36 hours just because we got one little crumb of an update from RH. So I think that's all it took. It's so funny. It's like
you
we're
just
all
do that every
starving.
week.
And we're like, give me that crumb. Like, so in the immediate term, like a number of weeks or months, it'll probably be similar. Like big pumps will be dependent on additional updates. And then if there's a temporary setback in the legal proceeding, like we don't know what's going to happen, but it'll probably be still dependent on that in the immediate term. But then once any of that, look what happened today. If we get the next positive update, it's just moon time. It's like
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm with
the
you.
ISAC price. We're already
I gotta see like 3 more Hex streamers review some scammy projects, and I'll be extremely bullish. When that happens.
I've had
I need
enough.
like 3
Like,
more
yeah.
y'all to do some reviews, man. Let's go. Crazy.
Yeah,
What a
I think
bear,
we're due
man.
for that first markup. I think we're gonna go mark up into like April, May, and then we may actually go. I'm seeing it more like a sideways period for the last bit of the Fudsters and the leapfroggers. They're all gonna kind of exit.
Oh yeah.
Right at April, May time, and then that period can be 6 months. It could be 9 months. It could be 3 weeks or 6 weeks. I don't know how long it takes to get them out because it's a function of the amount of demand coming in. But like as I said before, if that setup that I said before could occur, the amount of people coming in is just going to eat all of that sell pressure up.
Yeah.
So it's really a function of adoption. But let's just go with that. We're going to have very minimal adoption. We're going to get a markup going into this Q2. And then we're going to go sideways for a period, and then we're going to get a secondary markup. That's going to be the big one, like more like heading into fall, end of summer, I think. But that's all hearsay and it's speculation. I do believe in that this ecosystem is going to have a double bull. Alex from the Hedron developer said that, and I've been saying double bear because we had like the pulse chain forks. You had 2 bear markets back to back.
Facts. A good point.
And so it just totally makes sense to get a double bull market, and you can't predict the adoption of true DeFi under all these other political conditions. It's just something that hasn't been done before. And there's just a clear delineation and decorrelation event coming where DeFi totally separates itself from Bitcoin and Ethereum. Like I think Ethereum's already you sacrificed it with with the WEF and all that. So this is like the alternative route, and you're going to get the libertarian types and the guys that are in ETH that see opportunity over here. They're going to jump, and it's just like it'll turn into a domino effect.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Let me ask you guys real quick. Are you guys in the Pulse Chain does a 10x camp, or Pulse Chain could potentially do a 100x camp? Like, what camp are we in here on this stream? Because everybody's telling me 10x. Huh?
Who's saying 10x? Like any coin in the market right now.
Thank you,
worth
sir.
itself will 10x over the next 1 year. Like that's.
Thank you, sir. I'm just making sure.
No, I think we could see it, Wescott. I think we could see a 10x by May, and then that sets the floor, and then you get like the 50 to 100x after that.
50 to 100. Because when I first came here, people were telling me 1000x, 3000x. Oh, look at what this blockchain did, 3000x. We're going to do the same. And where did that go? That all disappeared. Now, Sami shows up, and now it's 10x at best. Oh, my God. Let's hope we can get it.
Sami doesn't stake HEX either.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Big money on the way.
That flushes out people so we can buy cheaper. That's all that.
And that's what I'd be saying. I'm like, maybe he's reverse.
So HEX did 13 doubles last cycle, but it also had like more than 10 like -8, -50%, multiple -89% drops, which is what allows the chart to just rubber band. So it goes up, huge smackdown, rubber band, back up, smackdown. And if you know what's going on from the market making angle on the LP books, it really gives you a perspective of how if your LPing bag is big enough portion of the pool, you're actually paying yourself to pump the price, which gives you it recycles the funds so you can actually keep the market moving for weeks and weeks and months into the future. So Pulse Chain has been a tremendous educational tool. You know, as a founder myself, I've been able to really unravel the secret mysteries of LP, and really kind of look back and reflect on what happened with HEX in 2020 and 2021 and understand how that 10,000x was accomplished.
Right.
The real hundreds of millions didn't come in until that last move from like 7.5 cents up to 56 cents. The rest of it was just was like the magic of Uniswap V2, pump proven technology. Now we have it in Pulse X. So I mean, dude, I'm bullish. I haven't changed my position.
I think a good part of that pump too was that the ecosystem continued to evolve. Right at the very beginning, the only thing I would say that Richard Hart did get wrong at the very beginning with HEX was the fact that he said it was a completed project, because nobody in crypto is going to be speculating after a certain point on a completed project. So Pulse Chain came out, right? That was the perfect timing for it too, because everybody's like, okay, what's next? Like, this worked. We want to build on this. Like, we want to build around this, right? And took that energy and we're like, okay, let's come out with Pulse Chain that. And so I think if you take that thought one step further in this next bull market, if you look at this as an ever evolving actual DeFi ecosystem that is Ethereum proof of stake fork state, and so as long as Ethereum keeps getting more and more centralized, you know, this is where everybody's going to at least test brand new DeFi, right? Because it's an open chain, open for everybody. So I think once you get quality projects coming into the ecosystem, which we already have a handful of that we've mentioned, I think a little bit before, but like, we want new developers too. We want a lot of, you know, people coming in, and if they come in for the greed, wonderful, you know? And so once we get that flywheel spinning, you know, I think that's what'll happen. And that's what leading into 2025 can really juice things up, I think.
Yeah, and remember, you know, not all the Pulse X features are online, and that's probably by design, right? So, and any kind of changes to the farms, and I mean, if any changes to the, do the admins have the ability to change the rate of inflation of Ink token? Do they have the ability to launch a wallet? You can come up with whatever they need to come up with to create narratives to spin if things start to slow down. Like there's an actual
too. Like it's part narrative, that's true, but then also it's like building quality, right? Like,
right, and that's the fine line I feel that this chain is riding, the silver lining
right now.
Like, yeah, and so let's see where it all goes. Like, I think you're absolutely right. There's things that have been intentionally left out that will come online right on cue.
Yep, Pulse X enhancements coming for sure. We just don't know when. It would have been unwise to release them earlier. By the way, it's great we have these other dexes. Like, I'm a fan of all of them. I won't even name them. They all have different purposes and targeted communities.
I'm gonna sit this one out.
All great. So
I'm gonna sit this one out.
Another example of, you don't really need to pick a side. They're all going to do great. Pulse X will build a core, you know,
and shout out to Sami too, man. I don't want people taking it the wrong way. He does a lot for the community. Great dude, man. The sentiment changed, you know what I'm saying? With, you know, not just him, a lot of people just switched their whole thing up. You know, last year, this was the second coming of Bitcoin. This year, oh my God, 10,000x, that's a joke. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you were screaming 1,000x. Yeah, bro. Like, everybody switched. Yeah.
Let's talk a little moon math, and let's go for the higher end then.
So thank you, sir. Let's talk.
What's possible versus probable, right? So like, if you were to take a look at any other layer one that did well in the last bull cycle, I believe most layer ones from the last bull cycle were in their first, you know, iteration. Right now, they're basically solidifying themselves. So Pulse Chain's like one bull market behind in that regard. So this is one where it's starting to build out. The next one will be where it solidifies itself. But because the layer one narrative is so large in the whole ecosystem here in all of crypto, like, it's the easiest thing to pump up here. So I think with Pulse Chain in particular, you just gotta, you know, ride that wave. But I think compared to other layer ones just in their first move, like anywhere between a 500 to 1,500, maybe 2,000x is pretty much standard, reasonable. Everybody, you know, like BNB did that, Cardano's done that. Ethereum's
Thank
done
you.
that. You know,
Why not us? What, Charlie? Why not us?
I don't understand. Yeah, exactly, right. And like 10,000x is possible from what Hex did, but like we have a lot more coins, we have a lot more things for people to put their money into, so a lot more liquidity would need to be there. But so I don't know about that. That's like, you know, that's just a big question mark.
But you know, you can't get a 500x. Like people act like that's crazy.
I don't see why not.
You know?
So like I'm a curmudgeon for only thinking we'll do 50 to 100x.
I'm okay with that too. Like I'm okay with it.
I'm good with it. I'm good with it. Trust me. But you know, like go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, that's what that 9-month sideways period's for. It's to shake out the guys so we can do the 1000x.
and doesn't the 50-week shakeout kind of lead into the halvening? Like, isn't it kind of the timing matches up? So I don't know. I was doing the math on that. I think it kind of leads to that the April time.
Well,
you know what I mean?
And that's the one thing people always underestimate is exponential growth. Like most people, like especially if they came in at the end of the last bull market, they saw all the fireworks, but that's their only experience ever in crypto. Like they just can't imagine, you know, how much X's we can do because they've never seen it, or they only saw it once and that shit can never happen again. But it happens on cue at the beginning of 2025. You know, pretty much it happened at the beginning of 21, happened at the beginning of 2017. You know, pretty easy.
Yeah, another thing too is like people are like, oh well, how are people gonna learn how to download MetaMask and buy Pulse Chain or use a bridge?
Oh my god, the zip
it's
file.
Like,
oh my
it's
god,
like those guys aren't the guys moving the needle on the chart, dog.
At all.
It's like you got it.
They'll
backwards.
find a way.
Look, they'll come. They will come.
Well, they'll buy the top.
AXiS. When you see something moving, you're gonna find out how to get it. That's 100%. Just how it goes.
That's why education's so important. And like you guys are gonna, anybody that's a public figure streaming or like I don't know what else do we do? Podcasts. What else do we do? Networking, live events. You know, hopefully I'll be there in Vegas with you guys. Like that is where education starts, and it's like education is like the most important thing to this whole equation, and building interpersonal relationships with people. Because the success of the chain is literally a function of how you act as a human being and how you help other people along. Like if we do, like look at Charlie and Miguel, onboarded 14,000 plus people into cryptocurrency. Right?
Shout out
amazing.
to y'all.
Just to drop the bucket, but it's, you know, it's honest work, but we got to do it.
and think about the butterfly effect of that and how many they've told of somebody else, right? Like the whole DGen roundtable crew is your guys' guys.
Oh yeah,
and they're awesome
people. Yeah.
And like, look, they're going to start their own community, and then that's going to explode out.
Well,
and
see, this is the one thing I used to get about, like I used to not like about crypto, but we're starting to change it, or at least a little bit, is like there's such a scarcity mindset out there, right? Like people view everybody else as like competition. I'm just like, bros, there's like so much fucking pie out here. It's not even, you know, it's crazy. You know, I want people, you know, who take our courses to like go out there, have their voice heard, build a project, build an NFT, you know, whatever you can do, just get involved, because like the whole thing about Pulse Chain is it's as good as the sum of all its parts. So if everybody, you know, decides, hey, I can be a cog right here, you know, or over here or whatever, you know, whatever it is that you can do for the ecosystem. If it's just like, hey, you know, shaking hands, kissing babies and you know, spreading the good word, that's cool too. But I do actually think that's one of the reasons why PulseX will actually do better than a lot of people think, is it's dumped in accordance with Pulse Chain, but it has the most amount of people holding that particular coin, right? Most people sacrifice for that. So once the market starts going well and they're doing good, right? What are they going to talk about? Are they going to talk about Pulse Chain, PulseX, EHEX, or PHEX? I think actually PulseX will be one that a lot of people start talking about with their friends, start educating people with, and then, you know, they learn how to use the chain, they learn how to actually use the DEX, the DeFi aspect to it. So, there's a lot of stuff to kind of to roll with from that.
Yeah. Wow.
Education's key.
Because if you told me, go ahead.
The only last thing I was going to say is if you don't have the courage or your conviction with your investment, then you just don't understand why you're in it. Then you really don't know what you're doing. So that's probably something to change there for some people.
Facts.
Shout out to Charlie for those like watching this who aren't already I think most people are already familiar with your how you pivoted your attitude towards this ecosystem.
Yeah, that was like 6. That was like 9 months into
Yeah,
Hex
it was
history.
like-
Like
it
I
was
was
like
like,
6
damn,
months
like,
or
Ah,
less.
you're a legend.
It was 6
Charlie,
months
you're
or
a
less that
legend.
Charlie was a skeptic, and quite frankly, we were skeptical about the same things. He just was able to articulate them, but we were all thinking the same thing, to be honest. So Charlie did 6 months of skepticism and now 3.5 years of advocacy. So that shows what can happen if you're willing to change your mindset based on new information.
It makes Charlie out to be like just a really good teacher and just a conservative mind share that we all need, because any of you Hexicans that was there at the beginning, like throwing $30,000-$50,000 of Ethereum in to Hex at like the first couple of weeks, you're literally insane, like clinically insane. Like, what did you think you were doing? Like, good on you for doing well and picking the right thing, but holy cow, like, that is
like
so
get another
risky.
chance to do so.
You gotta be crazy. You got like, yo, crypto is for geniuses and psychos. You cannot be smart. You know what I'm saying? Don't come in here acting smart and know it all and da. Nah, bro. You either gotta be a brilliant genius or a psycho crazy MF. You know what I'm saying?
Genius psycho.
I lean towards the psycho.
Hey,
I'm more on the crazy.
Where does that leave us midwits? Come on, man. That's not fair.
Nah, man, you cannot be no
apparently
smart
pretty
guy
well
here.
off. You caught on fast enough. You I think you were pretty much deploying capital by January.
Facts.
Yeah, so I mean, Hex Monkey, like, you might not have put in. Actually, you know what? Shout out to the Hexicans, you guys. You guys are crazy. Like, I'm happy to be a part of the community. You're amazing. Like, you know, you got all people, all different kinds of skill sets, all different walks of life. That's what strengthens this whole bond and this long-term mindset. This being in this crypto, this is one of the only cryptos with any kind of a long-term community behind it. Like, I mean, besides Bitcoin and Ethereum, but those didn't start off as long-term communities. Like, whereas this one, like day one, it was like, hey, you should stake your stuff, lock it up, and earn yield. You know, so it's kind of like a different breed of cryptocurrency with that amazing fixed T-share or that fixed inflation rate, right? So, man, I couldn't be more excited for where this is going to go. Happy to be on the panel. Just, man, you guys are all legends. Hex Monkey, thank you for everything you've done for me this year. It's meant the world to me. And Charlie, pleasure meeting you for the first time here. Wescott, dude, keep hyping up the crew, man. They're gonna be coming to you in droves, man. They're gonna be coming to your stream and asking you, dude, how do I buy Paul's chain? How do I buy Paul's X?
Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. If y'all think y'all seen me turn up, y'all ain't seen nothing. Don't let me get 100X. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, it's gonna be crazy. Everybody's gonna be watching. Facts. And Charlie, man, we got some unfinished business in Japan, dog. You gotta show me around Japan. You know I like the Japanese women out there.
Oh yeah, we'll get you over there. I might be going over there post like April or so. So if you're over there,
hey man,
let me know. But I'll probably see you in Vegas before then.
Listen, when I get 100X, I'll be there before you. You have to meet me out there.
There we go.
Facts, man.
Looking forward to that. No, I appreciate you all as well. And I mean, it's been good meeting both HEXMonkey and Wescott last year, for the first times. And hope to see AXiS over here, maybe at the Vegas meetup or something. But yeah, I think, the evolution of the community is something that is pretty much what's been happening over the last 1 year. And so the people who do make it out the other end, and then the people who come into the community at this point, right? They're going to be the new lifeblood that continues to, build on the foundation that Hex already made. So it's looking sweet, and more access. I don't know. Are we waiting for Maddie, or what? Like, it sounds like we're trying to wind it down, but I'm like, what's going on?
I was going to say that's one of the most exciting things when I look around. It's like I keep seeing new people pop up. Like that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Like Wescott, you came here in 22, but I'm even seeing more new people now in the last like 3 month that I just had no idea. And they've been out here working, teaching people, working them through after like the Pulse chain went live and how to bridge. And like there's probably hundreds or thousands of them that like, once you get to a certain, Ben, you get to a certain point and it's like, you kind of, it's like Charlie will tell you, you kind of get siloed into like a routine and your group that you're helping, and then like you just don't catch everything that's going on in the community. How could you? There's hundreds of thousands of these people all participating in this movement. And so it's just, you know, I think it's cool to see new folks come up and all kinds. Shout out to Axel, I think is his name, Martin Axel. He made this painting of me, and he's done hundreds of hexagons, and now it's like my Twitter profile pic, dude. That thing is gorgeous.
Nice.
You know, he got a little bit of the AXiS token for his work. So huge support from everybody out there. Like, you know, why do I keep coming back and doing content for free? Well, I've always told you in 2021, I'm here to pump my own bags, but it turned into so much more. It's so awesome, dude. It's just,
yeah, it's hard to stop. You know, sometimes I'm like, do I even want to stream today? But it's like, you just got to, man. You got to show up.
Every time you feel like that, you know, as soon as you start streaming, you're like, oh, this is
I'm glad I did this.
Yeah, you're right. After the
time.
episode, man, I'm like, yo, thank God we did that. That was awesome. That was awesome.
You can always, some of the newcomers have reminded me or taught me new intricacies of even Hex, believe it or not. For example, like, okay, we're all familiar with what a T-share is. We're all familiar with the ever rising T-share price in Hex terms and why it pays to stake longer. But I talk to advanced people, OGs, whatever you want to call them. The secret sauce that a lot of people forget is the ever rising daily payout, which is one of the consequences of the ever rising share price in Hex terms. So like, whatever you think the limit could be for these long stakes, you're probably underestimating it. I can't estimate price. I'm not good at that stuff, but I can estimate a phenomenon occurring, which is the we've already seen it go from 4 to 5 to 6 to now nearly 7, sometimes higher daily payout, just as predicted. And what's great is Hexfire, Crispy Man, is a somewhat newcomer, and he has more math around that than I've ever seen before, and it reinforced it in my head and made me invigorated to talk about it again, like I'm talking about it now.
Yeah, if you guys didn't catch on that first segment today, go after the stream's over, go back and watch it. The first 20 minutes I went through and talked about that different staking ROIs, and you know, on the conservative, people say, oh, you get 30% APY. Okay, what does that mean on like a 10 to 15 year stake? Well, 15-year stake can actually pay you 470% ROI over the 15 years in hex terms. So that's irregardless of dollar. But that's on the most conservative estimate if everything was to stay static, which we know that this system won't stay static because hex is a Veblen good, which means as the price goes up, it becomes more in demand, which pushes price up, becomes more in demand, it pushes price up. And that's when the most staking behavior actually happens. So if you look back at the past bull market cycle, Hex's most stakers came on. It was between like 15 cents and 56 cents is when we had the most stakes put into the system. We went from 64,000 staker wallets to 120,000 staker wallets. So again, that's reinforcing this idea that people take action when they're feeling like they're being left behind. FOMO's a bitch. So on those longer ROI calculators, like if you take one of the most aggressive curves, what was right now saying conservatively to be like a 460, 470% ROI on a stake for 15 years actually could be as high as 1900% as much hex, because the daily payouts could get into the 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 hex per T-share per day. And at that point, if the dollar price is like, let's say $1, who's going to be able to afford $140,000 or 140,000 hex per T-share at $1 a piece, $140,000 T-share? Like, that's crazy. Like, and the math, the way it works out is it actually, you get priced out in hex terms first, and then you get priced out in dollar terms later. Because again, that hash rate, like Bitcoin, price chases hash rate because the incentive is the inflation model. The inflation model is the magic sauce. And so on a long enough time frame, you just keep pushing the price up of both the hex T-share in hex terms, and then eventually the dollar price follows as a function of Metcalfe's law. And so people forget all this stuff because they saw 2 years of down and they got PTSD and stuff. But you know, people like Hexfire and myself and others, we're out here trying to remind everybody on a daily basis, because humans are fallible. They like to forget things. Well, we can't forget our stakes.
You know what that reminds me of? If you just go back into like crypto history, because I do think we're at the point where we have, you know, Bitcoin's 15 years old. We already have enough crypto history kind of learn from a little bit. But
Facts.
you know, as soon as you hear, you know, that put together in that way, I think very well said, is it reminds me of Hal Finney way back at the Bitcoin talk forums, way back in the day. He was like, well, this thing is scarce, it's limited, it's currently worthless, or you know, not worth much. And you know, if we just bet on this a little bit and see where it goes, if it sucks up a certain amount of the world's money supply, it should be at least, you know, somewhere between $1 to $10 million per coin at some point in the future if it has any remote success. So, you know, same thing here. If Hex and the Pulse Chain community have any remote level of success, which definitely we aren't stopping, then, you know, those numbers just, yeah, they start to make a lot of sense. But then also, you know, you start to look higher, I think. And so everything looks really, really nice, especially from the vantage point where we are at now. It might not seem like it on social media most days, but if you know what's going on and you know how cheap we are right now, what are we? We're not even a 2x off the bottom yet. Like,
Hey man,
Jesus
we
Christ.
pumping right now.
Hey, we got 12 more doubles in the tank at a minimum.
I'm screenshotting as we speak, man. This is beautiful. We pumping right now. I love it.
Where are we go?
Oh yeah. We up.
Oh shit!
Tony's
Yeah,
probably
we're
working hard in the
pushing
chat.
a little bit. Nice.
Hey man, everybody in the
Dang.
chat, go screenshot right now. Remember this day, because 2 years from now, who knows where you're gonna be? I mean, my
Okay.
God, my God. I'm
Tijuana.
excited. Oh,
Maldives.
And if there's a little
Oh.
pullback on the way to the moon, don't get all pissy again, everyone. Let's carry this feeling.
oh
carry
yeah,
this
that's a
feeling
good question.
forward.
Are we gonna dump from here? What you think, man? Is it when is the dump coming? What's gonna trigger it? Or is it
I
not
don't
gonna
see-
happen? I don't know.
I think we're gonna go to. I think we're gonna go to right before sack rate, like 4 zeros and a 9, and it might do a fake out down and then whoop past sack rate. We're reclaiming that sack rate in case you guys didn't get the memo.
There we go.
Let's go. Let's
But
go.
I think
Pump.
like once you flip that, the whole narrative's flipped essentially, because yeah, looking at price, like, I mean, that's all it takes is once everybody's in profit from, you know, the sacrifice.
We
Like,
could hit the sack price during this damn conference. It's not
Yeah.
over yet.
Hey.
Right when Richard comes on in 5
Yeah.
minutes, you know, we'll expect
don't
big
know.
green candle. You don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know.
We
Oh,
don't
here
know.
he is. We're in trouble now.
You guys have had a great panel. I think this has been one for the history books. So thank you so much for being on. And I know we're going to have 9 people on screen for the last hour of the show. And so looking forward to having you guys back on. Where can people find more of your content?
Come check me out at axisalive.com. I host all kinds of services over there. I'll be on a bunch of streams this month, so check out twitter.com/axisalive or x.com/axisalive for updates. All my links and stuff will be on my videos. I appreciate you all. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, likewise, you can go onto my handle, which is Cultivate Crypto on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, wherever, just Cultivate Crypto. On all of them, YouTube is the main place where we stream every day at 2:30 p.m. Pacific. If you guys want to jump into the crypto mindset course, we got that going on here at the end of this month around the 19th. So if you want to learn more about it, go watch the channel. I usually mention it pretty frequently, as well as you can go to the cryptomindsetcourse.com if you want to jump in there. It's one of the ways that I think one of the number one ways that we've onboarded a lot of hexagons and pulsicans in the space, but then also got them to look a little bit beyond, you know, the horizons of just one ecosystem as well. So yeah, we're all here to make gains, and we're in it for the tech, right? So that's what we talk about. But
Hey man, appreciate you, dog. I'm Wescott Crypto. Find me on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm everywhere. I host Pulse Nation. That we have ATX Crypto, Whales Only, Disciple, and the Crypto Wonder. So yeah, y'all can find me just like you see it on the screen, Wescott Crypto.
Yep, and I'm out there on Telegram and Twitter, HEXMonkey369. I don't have a channel, but I love supporting those that do, like these 3 gents right here. So, like, I'd recommend if you want to, one thing that you can do is support your friends, support the people whose mission you believe in. So this is the perfect example. I support AXiS and his community. Adds a lot of value. I get a lot from it. He does deep analysis of Hex and Pulse and lots of other stuff. Crypto mindset course, Charlie and DCC. I've been in that one many times. I've lost count. And if you think you don't need to learn about all these different things, you don't have to invest in them. Like I learned all about the Phantom ecosystem from that class. I just don't have the attention span to dive deep into that, but I really loved learning about it. And it's a sub community all its own, filled with hexagons, by the way. So it's a blast. Really worth it.
Hexagons just permeate everything, you know?
Yeah. And if you want to get pumped up on an almost daily basis, go watch Wescott and Pulse Nation.
Yes.
I think it is, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Tell
that
me
next
what you-
music video. Yeah.
Yes.
So we have 908 people watching live right now. Tens of thousands on the replay. Hit the like and subscribe button and give it up for these gentlemen. Thank you for being on.